What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. My name is John Morales, and today we're going to be going over the topic of why you should be cross training and what are the differences between doing cross training or having to mix different varieties of training into your training. Why does this matter? Should we really be focusing on this if we have goals in mind? So, the definition of cross training is incorporating different styles of training into your program, into your regimen. What does this mean? I'm not meaning just weight training. I'm not talking about just doing Pilates. I'm not talking about just doing speed training or doing running. I'm talking about mixing these up. And you're probably wondering, what does one have to do with the other one? Why do we need to mix up different styles of training if we have a certain goal? Well, the whole purpose of developing a program is to stick to something that you can eventually get better at, right? And if we want to run faster, we must run fast. And we need to do this frequently in order for us to get frequency in it and be able to have efficiency at it, right? So that's just when it comes to getting fast. But what about getting stronger? Same thing, right? You have to focus on getting stronger, doing movements that are going to incorporate strength training to benefit lifts that you want to get stronger at, or just want to get stronger overall. So we have to really categorize and differentiate those to really understand the difference between all of them. So I'm going to dive a little bit why we need to be cross training and why you should really be focusing on this in order to improve your overall athleticism. So a lot of people neglect different styles of fitness. I would say a lot of people that do weight training, you can improve flexibility through weight training, but the problem is maybe people are doing the same styles of training, right? They're doing the same regimen, right? So if you have a leg day, for example, you're still doing leg presses, you're still doing squats, you're doing the same patterns, which is not wrong if you're trying to get stronger at those patterns. But the problem comes here. If you're only speaking one language, you only get good at one language. And the point is to give your body variability. Give your body a reason to adapt, to be able to find new things to push through, right? And you want to break through plateaus. This is something that you need to be incorporating. So, here are some benefits of cross training. Prevents injuries. Now, notice when I talk about preventing injuries, I'm not talking about preventing them at all costs. Injuries are going to happen, and you learn through trial and error. But it's not just the preventing injury; it's reducing stress and incorporating other things like balance and coordination. So if you do a lot of weight training and you're always training with your shoes on, you have to think about you have a fixed foot, right? So how do you incorporate stability training? This would mean you training barefoot. And I know at most gyms you can train barefoot, but you can find a yoga mat, be able to take off your shoes and do a couple movements that are going to help you. Whether they're single leg RDLs, they're stationary lunges, or adding some plyometrics, adding some jumping to it. This is going to give your body a different feel, a different reason to adapt it's going to make your overall system a lot better, right? So a lot of people neglect this. They think that I just need to be getting stronger. I just need to be lifting heavy weights. And yes, that is part of it. But what do you do on the other days that are going to complement that? Not every day you need to train at 100%. You need to do other things to complement it. For example, when you think about athletes and how they program their training and how they incorporate different styles, a typical athlete on an off-season program, this is how their program would look. On Monday, you might do total body, meaning that you're going to work out every part of the body in that sense, and just a little bit, just to touch up on different factors. So you might go upper body in the sense of you might be doing some push and pull in the upper body and push and pull in the lower body. You might be doing different variations of it. You're going to target your hamstrings, your quads. You're going to target your calves, your lower back, your trunk, doing some core work. You're going to target your biceps, your triceps, your back, your chest, everything, right? And the reason for this, and reasons why I like to incorporate it on Monday is because Monday you're coming off the weekend. God knows what you got into. So it's a great way just to give us a solid baseline. Then Tuesday, you go more upper body focus, but you're still keeping the lower body intensity relatively low, meaning that you might be doing some strength training with the upper body, but you can still incorporate lower body exercises like body weight lunges, body weight jumps, single leg jumps, and doing that kind of sort. Now, think about it. We trained upper body, total body on Monday. Now we're training upper body on Tuesday. I'm still training upper and lower body on Tuesday, even though I touched on Monday. This is more frequency. I'm getting more reps in, right? Opposed to having a split that's just back and triceps, right? Chest and biceps. Just separating like that. It's not until Wednesday till you get to your leg day that you probably hit leg day on Saturday again. And what happens if you had a busy schedule that day? You had to go do an appointment somewhere. Now you missed out, and now you're thinking, oh man, I missed an important day that I should have hit something. Not every day you have time to hit every muscle group. So it's important that you understand when you're training, you got to have variability. So again, we're sticking to understanding how an athlete we would program an athlete, right? Come Wednesday, we're going to incorporate some mobility. We're going to incorporate some core, maybe some reaction. Maybe we're going to do a little bit of a metabolic circuit. We're going to incorporate maybe some med ball throws. We're going to be a little bit more agile, work on power, what people call explosiveness, right? We work on that kind of stuff. So we keep it in our program. Thursday, I might go lower body. Now I gave myself a preparation, right? I still did med ball throws, so I'm still working my upper body on Wednesday. Now Thursday, I'm going lower body strength, upper body endurance. So maybe I can go on the tricep extension machine. I'm not really focusing on strength, but I'm thinking about more repetitions. Come Friday, we're probably going to do a speed day. We're going to work on doing more endurance bout speed days, meaning that you're going to run for longer distance, depending on the sport, depending on what we're talking about. In this occasion, I'm typically talking more football. We're going to do more change of directions that day. And then Saturday we rest, Sunday we rest, and we keep it going. And then we start incorporating all those plyometric jumps so we can get Friday, when we get into the field and we do stuff on the field, we can have that translation of keeping everything there, right? So a lot of coaches talk about microdosing. What does microdosing mean? Just adding a little bit of the important things in your program, because you don't want to be neglecting and waiting for that day to hit that specific thing. If you feel like your body needs a little bit of flexibility, incorporate it. Now let's talk about how you can break plateaus with this. So when you think about that from a brain standpoint, it's a new stimulus. For your body tissue, it's a new stimulus. Your body's getting to move a different way, right? If you're used to weight training, what would be the benefits of maybe doing some yoga or some Pilates on a Monday? You did total body, you did a little bit of everything. You're not too sore, but incorporating that Pilates class, now you're working on more stability, right? You're working on different ranges of motion. You're moving in awkward ways that you typically don't move in training, right? So you're having a different variable to it. And that's good because it allows you to have more adaptation from a body tissue standpoint. And not only that, it gives you more endurance, right? So you're probably recovering better. You're not going to be running into those small little aches and pains as the program goes on. You can push a little bit harder because your body's becoming more resilient. The problem is if you always go at 100%, you never train underneath that, you're always going to be working off the point that you think you need to be feeling good all the time. You're not going to be feeling great all the time. So you have to work with what your body's giving you that day. If your body says, hey, this is all I can do that day, that's all you can do that day. And there's days definitely to push, right? So it also improves recovery, right? So incorporating something like a light jog, right? So you're thinking, okay, Monday I hit total body. Tuesday I hit upper body. So I did maybe some chest, some rows, some heavy rows. Maybe I did some pull-ups. Why should I incorporate some running that day? Well, your legs are not that tired, right? You didn't do too much with your legs. Maybe you didn't want to do legs at all that day, but you do a light run, right? Maybe 1 to 3 miles, a light run. And this allows you to still work your endurance, right? Your aerobic system, and still keep your body fresh, So you're giving it more variability. Again, you're doing more, right? You're doing more because you're training maybe 2 a days, right? But you're adding more variability. So this is what I talk about adding different things to add a different type of stimulus. Let's say Wednesday we get to maybe Wednesday you're not incorporating so much mobility, you're not doing all that kind of stuff because you don't simply have time. I would say incorporate something like, again, yoga, that kind of sort of stuff, but even swimming, right? Think about, why would swimming be important? First of all, if you don't know how to swim, I strongly suggest you to learn how to swim. But think about when you put your arm in this movement and you're in this motion and you're pressing down, you're working your lats, you're working your shoulders, you're working your biceps and triceps, you're working everything, but the resistance is different. The accommodation is different. In swimming, they talk about dry land training, which would be more dumbbell work, more body weight exercises, and then they talk about in water training, which would be still that kind of stimulus, but they add different things. They may be swimming with a paddle board so they can focus more on hip flexor work. There's tons of things that you can work on, and this allows your body to start getting stronger in other ways. And this can complement you. Let's say you swam on Wednesday. Now Thursday we're talking about upper body, right? I mean, sorry, lower body. So Thursday we're getting to lower body, and now we go Thursday we do lower body, but your hip flexor already has already gone through a preparation, right? You're not gonna feel as stiff. You're gonna feel a little bit more mobile. Your core is a little bit tighter, all right? So this is how programming ideally would be for somebody who wants to include a lot more variability to their training. So, and last thing would be that you increase longevity. I mean, you think about the athletes that are able to do things for longer periods of times. They're adding different stimulus to their body. They're not just doing the same thing. If you're a basketball player, you don't just play basketball. You do other things, right? In baseball, they talk about how can we improve our swing, right? And what I mean, you can't play baseball without having someone throw you the ball, right? You can't swing at the unless you're going to the batting cages. So a lot of people like to do golf. Now, golf is a controversial topic because a lot of strength coaches say golf can have negative uh, impacts on your batting swing. And yes, this can be true. But there's also guys like Manny Machado. There's also guys that are doing other things that, guess what? They say it improves your swing because they feel that the mechanics transfer over, and it allows them to practice a different sort of stimulus that still has to do similar to what they do. This is why it's so important to incorporate different things, right? So how do you incorporate cross training? We mentioned to that, right? And we talk about that. But for a strength athlete, someone that's trying to get stronger, I would say add cardio, right? Add cardio to your regimen, add mobility work, etc. Yoga, swimming, cycling, some sort of endurance work. It doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't mean you have to go all out. It just means you need to get your body going and moving in a different way, in a different format. For my runners and my endurance athletes, I'm going to tell you, let's figure out how to get stronger at the gym. Let's do more reps by doing different things, right? It doesn't mean you have to go super heavy on a back squat or super heavy on a deadlift. Just incorporate those movements that allow you to feel better, and you're able to build on those movements as you slowly progress. If you're gonna have a long run, you want to make sure your hamstrings are ready to go, your hip flexors are fired up, your core feels good, and your upper body feels mobile. There's a lot of training that you can incorporate that's going to benefit those longer runs, right? Maybe a small little bit, a little bit of cycling work is going to help you. A little bit of swimming is going to benefit you to that because now you're learning how to breathe correctly when you're swimming, and that can transfer on over to running, right? So, I would say also too, it allows you to have variability from the sense that it doesn't keep your programming dull. It doesn't keep your programming boring. And this can happen very often when you're always sticking to the same thing. You're like, what do I do to change up the stimulus? Maybe I'm not seeing much change in my body. My body's gone to a plateau. What can I do to change it? And this is the variables. These are the things that you need to start doing in order for you to start seeing some different demands from your body, because you're asking it to do different things. And this is how you mold the clay that you have, right? You want to give it different things. Now, if your goal is really to just to get stronger, then of course you need to stick to the rice and beans, right? You need to stick to the steak and potatoes. You need to stay to things that get you stronger. But at the same time, adding variables can be very beneficial in terms of longevity and being proactive instead of just saying I'm gonna wait for that day to come, and that day comes and you don't feel great. So some closing thoughts for this is don't get stuck just doing the same thing in the same type of training. Change it up, mix it up. This is going to allow you to grow your body in a different way, but also grow the way that you're aware with your body. You don't know how your body feels when you swim. You don't know how your body feels when it runs. And don't say, oh, but I suck at this. Guess what? Everyone sucks at something they're not good at. So the only reason why you say you suck is because you don't feel confident and comfortable doing that movement. You gotta get familiar with it, right? Yeah, that's even if you're incorporating some Olympic movements. Incorporate something that's gonna teach your body how to move in a different way. And the last thing is try to be diligent about this, but in a very passive way. Add one variable once a week. Add something different, right? Maybe you add yoga. You liked how yoga made your body feel the next day, and maybe you got stronger the next day because you incorporated something different. You added hot yoga. Maybe the next day you rest or you do a little bit of conditioning, right? So add these things little by little. Don't go all out, all in, and give everything to your body. I know a lot of people do class passes. It's a great way to incorporate all of this into your training and change up the regimens and the styles of training. At our gym, we do something called in vivo performance training, where we give it variability, and we do a lot of things like this. We train in Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the mornings, and we change up the styles. We do upper body, lower body, and total body, but we do it in this kind of fashion. And this is how we're able to see progress and see our members get stronger, but also adapt, because we also have things like Pilates and whatnot. So if anything, that I wanted you guys to take away from today is that you need to change it up. You need to find different ways to stay in flow. And the way you stay in flow is by allowing yourself to forget about yourself, to find yourself. And this is how we do that. We incorporate different things that are going to challenge us, stimulate us, and keep us in a state where plateau is not something we always see coming. We want to change it up, and we want to feel fresh. Me, myself, I've tried jujitsu. I've done jujitsu. I haven't been back in a while, but what a great stimulus that was to incorporate with strength training. I felt the conditioning uh, play a big part in learning how to feel strong and incorporate the conditioning I was doing with running with jujitsu. So that felt awesome. Also, when I go for my long runs, every now and then I like to throw in a swim. It makes me feel like my hips are not so tight. Keeps my hip flexors strong. So you add different things and different variables, and you're going to see a lot of growth in your training. And that's what we ultimately want to get down to. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys next week. Keep sharing, keep showing love. I appreciate the growth, and like and subscribe. Send this to a friend. Send this to anybody that you feel that they need to hear maybe something a little bit different, a little different perspective, something just to in tune and enlighten them. Have a great day, guys. Be blessed.